Modern wingers are sprinting straight into blind alleys. On paper, the logic of a winger running onto a through ball sounds foolproof. In reality, it's a trap. Watch Bukayo, Saka, or Vinícius Júnior. When they check for the ball, they aren't facing the opposition goal. They are deliberately inviting pressure, receiving the pass with their back entirely to the goal. That looks completely counterintuitive. Why surrender momentum when you could drive forward? The numbers don't lie. Low block defenses have compressed the space between midfield and defense to under 15 meters. When there is no grass to run onto, sprinting forward into a blind alley is a structural suicide mission. Elite wingers recognize the deadlock. They stopped fighting the low block and started manipulating it. To understand why modern wingers willingly surrender momentum, we have to look at how pressing traps transform the touchline into a zone of execution. To survive the modern press, a winger must master the art of the closed body posture. You don't run away from pressure, you lean directly into it. By planting your center of gravity backward, the approaching defender's momentum becomes your primary weapon. The numbers demonstrate the shift. Back-facing receptions yield an 84% retention rate compared to just 33% for forward sprints. When you receive facing backward, you own the contact. You dictate where the defender's force is channeled. Watch how elite wide players drop their shoulder, absorb the impact, and roll their marker in one fluid motion. This isn't cowardice. It's calculated spatial warfare at the highest level. The pitch becomes a chessboard. Every backward touch is a calculated sacrifice to unbalance the opponent's defensive block. Once the block steps up to press the back-facing receiver, the entire landscape behind them opens up for the killer pass. The back-facing revolution has permanently changed how we evaluate wide play. But mastering this technique requires exceptional scanning habits before the ball even arrives. Scanning isn't just looking around. It's cognitive mapping executed at blinding speed before the ball leaves the passer's foot. Top wingers check their shoulder 3 to 4 times in the seconds leading up to a back-facing reception. Without this mental map, receiving backward is suicide. With it, every press becomes an invitation to exploit the vacant space behind. Let's examine the data behind elite scanning frequencies and subsequent turn success rates. The numbers don't lie. Players who fail to scan are suffocated instantly by the low block. This tactical shift has redefined what we expect from a wide forward. Pace is secondary to spatial intelligence. Watch how the movement unfolds on the tactical board as the scanning player orchestrates the escape. Mapping the pass lanes and defensive blind spots in real time, scanning creates the invisible advantage that separates elite wingers from the rest, setting up the final phase of tactical mastery. Managers are no longer demanding mindless verticality from their wide men. The entire tactical paradigm has flipped. The stats prove the transformation. Teams utilizing structured back-facing rotations sustain 72% possession in the final third. Look at how elite clubs construct their attacking triangles. Every player knows their role in shielding the ball carrier. When the winger receives facing backward, supporting midfielders immediately create passing lanes in a 360-degree radius. The masters of this craft aren't remembered for their top speed. They're remembered for their immovable spatial control. Watch the execution in real match footage. The patience, the body angle, the ultimate dismantling of the low block. That is not accidental. That is the inevitable result of tactical evolution. The back-facing revolution has permanently changed wing play. Pace gets you noticed, but spatial intelligence wins titles. Brilliant. But absolutely essential. We have arrived at the ultimate tactical truth of modern football. Sprinting forward into a packed defensive block is no longer elite. It is an amateur mistake. By choosing to receive passes facing backward, elite wingers rewrite the geometry of the pitch. They invite the press, absorb the contact, and use the opponent's own momentum as a slingshot. The numbers confirm what the eyes have seen. Possession retained is control secured. Pace gets you noticed. Spatial intelligence wins titles. Watch how the entire tactical structure collapses the moment the first back-facing rotation succeeds. The era of the mindless vertical winger is officially over. Welcome to the age of spatial mastery. Surrendering momentum was never weakness. It was absolute control. We have reached the absolute frontier of modern tactical evolution. The era of the mindless vertical winger sprinting into blind dead ends is officially dead and buried. By choosing to receive passes facing backward, elite wingers completely rewrite the spatial geometry of the pitch. They invite the press, absorb the contact, and use the opponent's aggressive momentum as a slingshot. The numbers confirm what the sharpest analysts have argued for years. Possession retained is control secured. Pace gets you noticed on highlight reels. Spatial intelligence wins league titles. Watch how the entire defensive structure collapses the moment the first back-facing rotation succeeds. The era of mindless verticality is officially closed. Welcome to the age of absolute spatial mastery. Surrendering momentum was never weakness. It was absolute control. Track star sprinters are no longer enough. The market now belongs to tight space technicians. Scouts across Europe have entirely rewritten their evaluation metrics. Raw pace without spatial awareness is a liability. When a winger chooses to receive facing backward, they are not escaping the battle. They are dictating its terms. The low block was designed to suffocate modern attacks. Instead, it birthed a masterclass in spatial manipulation. This is how elite football evolves. Not through brute force, but through pure intellectual dominance. The numbers don't lie, the tactics don't lie, and the revolution is complete. Surrender momentum, control the space, win the game. The revolution is complete. Backward is the new forward. And that changes everything.